So in this video, I'll be doing annual maintenance on my water heater. This is the sacrificial anode, or a zinc anode, that every water heater has. That keeps all your metal parts and your valves from getting eaten by the bacteria and the acidity or alkalinity of your water. This maintenance should be done every year, just taking the anode out and cleaning it off and checking it for wear and tear. But I've neglected to do that maintenance for the past 2 years because last year my in-laws were here, and the year before that we had a big wedding about this time of year, so I haven't had this apart in 2 years. The first time I took this out, it had plumber's putty on there, and it had not been taken out and cleaned since July of 1998. So this thing is over 20 years old. This is a 20-plus year old water heater. I don't even know what kind it is. Probably don't even make these kind anymore. Yeah, the Rheem Glass Fury. It's a 40-gallon tank. But the first time I took this out, it had plumber's compound on it, or plumber's putty on it, which dries hard like a brick, like a plaster. And it took a 3-foot breaker bar to break this thing loose. Then after that, I put PTFE plumber's joint compound on there. It still seals up the threads and everything, but it also lubricates and keeps it from corroding. So it was a major pain to get this thing out. And if you haven't taken your anode out in forever, you're probably going to need a 3-foot breaker bar. Tools I'll be using today: an 1 1/16 deep well socket. This is the 3-foot breaker bar that I used the first time to break that loose, which I probably won't need because I have the electric impact wrench. I have the pipe joint compound, which is basically Teflon in liquid form. You put this on the threads and it keeps it from corroding and sticking, and making it much easier to do repairs, 20 years down the road, rather than using solid dried out plumber's putty. And an obligatory beer if you so wish. More than one is probably preferential. First thing you want to do is turn off the supply valve. So after shutting off your supply valve, you can test out your pressure relief valve here, your safety valve, and it just drains over to the floor and down the drain. Third thing you want to do is either turn this completely off, or I just set it to vacation so the burner inside here doesn't turn on in the middle of you dumping your water heater. So I've got the hose hooked up to the drain nozzle, and just let it drain, and then shut off the valve that goes to the house so nothing comes flowing back into it. And open up your safety valve to let air into your tank, and so you don't get an airlock or it'll stop draining on you. Put the impact wrench in the socket on there. There we go. So you see how hard that was taking that out, even with an impact wrench. And this is your anode. This is a zinc anode, approximately 4 feet tall. And you see where it had been eaten away in some parts, but other than that, it's still in good shape. If your water starts reeking like rotten eggs, starts smelling like rotten eggs, you need to check your anode. Make sure it's not completely broken off and down and sitting in the tank, or completely rotted away, especially if your water tank is set idle for quite a while. If you're going to be gone for a month or two, I highly suggest you shut your water supply off to your water heater, you shut your gas off to your water heater, and you drain it, because the water sitting in your tank will completely dissolve this, and then you come home, turn on your faucet, and it just stinks like rotten eggs. So when your tank is completely empty and no more water's coming out, You can shut your drain valve back off and take a funnel and some vinegar and dump about a gallon of vinegar down in there and let it sit for an hour or two. So what the vinegar does is breaks down the calcium buildup and lime buildup and scale buildup and helps flush everything out. So the rod is all dried out and it has this very fine coating on it of just bacteria and lime scale, which prevents your zinc anode from doing its job. This is why you need to do maintenance on it every year. See, here's that coating, which is rock hard, and here's the zinc anode. And here's all that covering. So it all depends upon the kind of water you have. I'm just taking a hammer and lightly going over this, tapping this. And this hard covering will chip right off. So you see all this brown stuff that it came off this rod. Now it exposes the zinc anode. Then I take a brush and clean cracks and crevices out of here the best you can. So here's the zinc anode that's pretty much cleaned off, has clean shiny zinc exposed instead of this brown crap that builds up on it. Then rinse your anode off thoroughly with running water. Get any dust off. So we're going to apply the Teflon paste, pipe joint compound. Apply it to the threads. And then take a cloth and wipe off anything on top of here so it doesn't fall down in the tank. Then insert your rod back into the water tank and hand thread it. You do not want to do this with a wrench. Hand thread it till it's tightened down. But you got it threaded in there. You can tighten it down even further by hand with the socket. You do not want to cross thread this because you are screwed if you cross thread this, because your water heater will never hold pressure after that. Carefully tighten down the anode till it won't go anymore. Don't over tighten it or strip it out. You can turn on the supply again. So once your water heater fills up, it will start overflowing. You can shut the relief valve off. Shut the supply valve off again. And keep the house supply valve turned off because you don't want any crap inside of your water heater going into your faucets and piping and stuff like that. So open up your drain valve and let all that vinegar and crap come out. See, it's barely draining. Open up the pressure relief valve to relieve the airlock and it'll start draining. Once it completely drains, you can shut your drain valve down. Shut your relief valve, turn your supply valve on, and turn your household supply back on. So to prevent an airlock in your water heater when you're refilling it, you need to allow a path for the air to leave, and you can purge your pipes and everything like that of the air So once water starts streaming out of your faucet, your tank is full, your pipes are purged, you can shut your water off. You can even purge the top of the tank here by using your pressure relief valve. And here it says there's a warning on here about annual operation. So this inspection is twofold. You clean your anode and you test your pressure relief valve. If you open up your pressure relief valve and it doesn't seal, well, now you need to go get a new pressure relief valve. And you get the air out of the top of the tank. Then you can turn your thermostat from vacation to the predefined spot. I made a little Sharpie mark on here, which makes the water just hot enough, but not so ungodly hot that it'll burn you.